today is going to be about children, adult children, the economy, and why you, as an adult child, chose parents that are kind of disconnected. And we're only going to be talking about what's happening right now with this betrayal. In my opinion, it's a betrayal. When parents think it's okay to basically tell a kid at the age of 18, because they turned 18, that, pack your shit and go. I think this kind of trend that is particularly an American trend. I'm not seeing it happening in Europe. I'm not saying it's not happening. I just haven't seen videos on that. That doesn't mean it exists. But this idea that at 18 you tell your kid to pack their shit and go is actually no different than foster care. In foster care, when a child turns 18, it's essentially they get their shit in a garbage bag and they're told, good luck. And there's no resources, and the kid doesn't know how to navigate resources. Right now, we live in a time in this planet, in America. They're telling me to give you this example. So there's this kid in London, somewhere in England. I'm going to say England. And he goes to the most expensive supermarket. It's like imagine the most expensive luxury supermarket. And he is like quoting prices. Do you know what the comments said? American comments? Oh, that's what I pay for shit food. Here. I'm actually paying that for shit food. So imagine, for the kid, he was thinking this is the most expensive, high-class, gourmet market, right? Foie gras, this, that, and the other. And for us, strawberries for damn near $10, or, between $7 or $10 if they're organic, because you definitely don't want to take inorganic strawberries. Trust me, there's some dirty crops you don't want to fuck with, which, I think we're not going to get into that today. But my point is, so here's this kid in England saying, yeah, this is the most expensive. And I was talking to Andromeda Flame and telling her what I mean, there are avocados right here. They're small, the size of a child's fist, for like $3, $3.50. And in Europe, you can get an avocado for $1.50 to $2. It's insane. So when a parent decides that their child at 18, pack your shit and go, I think that they don't understand the commitment of having a child. Maybe they shouldn't have a child, because an adult child, even with an adult child, you are going to be helping them in some aspect financially. There are parents right now who have given the whole down deposit for their adult child, to buy a house, an apartment, because it makes more sense. Good families do that for good families. In other words, they perpetuate wealth or abundance in some aspect. You don't have children to throw them out on the streets. You have children so that you can guide them, mentor them, help them buy their first home. Yeah. A lot of parents do that. It's not abnormal. It should become normalized. But we have normalized this idea of, yeah, good for you, or having the cops arrest your kid because the kid's violent, instead of trying to figure out what kind of psychological help they might need. There's like, if you have a child, right, that hits 18, 28, 38, whatever, you're going to be, though they're an adult, you are going to be parenting them in some capacity, not as a codependency, but as a leg up. Especially since we live in a country where there is no leg up, where it is a bootstrap situation. And you might scream to me, welfare. Well, I can tell you, welfare is failing, or else we wouldn't have homeless people. They'd all be living off the streets. So welfare's like, I don't want to talk about welfare. I don't want to talk about the millions of people that are homeless right now, that actually have no access to getting IDs replaced because their shit was stolen in a shelter or whatever. So to me, if you're going to have a kid, know that it's your lifetime commitment. And it's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be convenient. It's not. So if you can't commit to that as a lifetime, don't have kids. I mean, just be honest. I do like the trend of women going kidless and free. Good. You probably wouldn't be a good mother. And I'm not joking. You probably wouldn't be a good father, because you're not willing to do what it takes to give unconditional love, unconditional support, unconditional mentorship, unconditional patience, even when you're about to blow your shit. And the way you raise your kids starts from the time they are in your womb, believe it or not. You start reading to them, talking to them, meditating with them, working on their chakras. It starts there. And it ends when you take your last breath, because at that point the soul contract is done. Why? Well, because the soul contract was for them to choose you as a parent. You accepted the assignment and you went for it. Now, some of these kids, right, these souls coming in, are aligned in a frequency level of self-harm, self-loathing. I'm not joking when I say this. And they will pick parents that align with that frequency, meaning they'll be toxic parents. It's not because they wanted toxic parents so much, but the frequency was in alignment. It was a frequency match. I'm shit, hence I deserve shit, hence those will be my parents. And the job on a soul contract level is to overcome that looping negativity about self-loathing. I kid you not. When you have toxic parents, you have to ask yourself, how do I get out of this? Now, what I love and what I've seen in action from the father of my son is he had a massively narcissistic piece of shit of a father who was doing all kinds of things. I'm not going to get into it today. But suffice it to say that the father of my son did the absolute opposite. Everything his father had done, he did the opposite. So free will is an action, number one, and making a decision. Am I going to use the excuse that my father was a cheater, so I'm going to cheat, and that's just you're going to perpetuate that? Or am I going to look at my parent as a toxic entity they were or are in my life, and am I going to overcome that by breaking family toxic lineage loops? It's a decision. At which point you're no longer going to be a match to that energy, and your next incarnation, wherever that might be, it could even be no more 3D because you've overcome massive density, massive bullshit, so that you're no longer a match to the density of this planet until it turns into 5-6D, number one. Number two, the next set of parents you have will be more in alignment with your new level of self-love, responsibility, and the ability and the courage to actually literally destroy those toxic loops. So there's a lot of ways to see this shit, you know what I mean? But ultimately, when you have a child, right, and they become adults, one of the things you're going to have to realize as a parent is you're going to have to look at your child and go, okay, look, you're 18, 19 now. I'm not mommy or daddy. We're going to have a new kind of rules of engagement, which is now I become your mentor. Do I love you like of course I do. You're my baby. You'll always be my baby. However, for me to learn how to respect you as your own autonomous adult, I cannot be your mommy or daddy anymore. I need to really align with myself with you in mentoring you, giving you the right books, giving you the right discussions, hopefully guiding you, hopefully being there for you, hopefully being an ear. Will I always be that perfect mentor? Probably not, because the 3D world has its stresses and I'm going to fuck up. But when I fuck up, you got to tell me so that I can repair that. And when you fuck up, when you bridge my boundaries, I will tell you, and together we'll find a place to repair. What does that do? Well, it creates a sense of understanding, and it teaches both parties, the parent and the child, how to create beautiful, loving boundaries. Sometimes not so beautiful, not so loving. Sometimes it's just screaming matches. But at the end of the day, there is some kind of respect and understanding that becomes greater and greater and more powerful as the years progress. But if your child is going through a financial burden, it is your job as a parent in every way you can to help them. Because right now we live in a country in America, good old, red, white, and blue, that is making everyone black and blue. Because everyone is overwrought with the stress of making ends meet. And and many of us who are starseeds know in the very threads, in the very energetic frequency of our souls, that to pay to live is fucking wrong, period. Look at what they did to Nikola Tesla. They destroyed that man who wanted to give free energy. It's winter now, and right now they've hiked their prices for heating, for this, for that. So when your adult child needs help, especially, let's be honest, right now, your average 20-year-old is going to be unable to get their own place. unable to get a studio apartment. When I was a kid living in New York City, we had an L-shaped apartment that was, I don't know how many square feet. It was fucking huge, okay? I can tell you how much it's worth today, but that's not the discussion. It was $3,400, 1980. Today, you will get a fucking closet in Manhattan for $3,400. Basically a closet. Maybe 2 closets. And if you're very, very lucky, then you will have a line on someone who has an apartment who's either died or moving out because they're buying something, in the country. And they will know you and they will put you in front of these, landlords where you'll be able to get an apartment for $2,000 and it'll be a decent apartment. For example. So you've got a lot of kids right now leaving America, let's be honest, because it's cheaper to be a nomad. It's cheaper to live in Bali, Nepal, France, Italy. Even Airbnb is cheaper. The groceries is cheaper. Transportation is basically stupid fucking accessible. No wonder we're losing all kinds of young people in their 20s and leaving the country with a one-way ticket. So, as parents, the last thing you want to do is shame your kid and try to belittle them and try to compare. When I was a kid, just kid meaning 20s, I remember I was looking at champagne for the holidays, whatever, and I was just looking at it for the hell of it, and I was like, Veuve Clicquot, $80. When I was in my 20s, it was $24, and I could afford it. So my point, for example, is that when we're looking at avocados, for $2.50 to $3 in avocado the size of a child's fist, you got to wonder what the fuck's going on. And at the end of the day, any parent that's my age, that's a boomer, that's going to deliberately shame their kid for living in a situation that is so fucked up, it's damn near harmful, so fucked up that the big F, fentanyl, is being, spread everywhere. It's everywhere. How we got into this country and other countries, I don't know. It seems to be very suspiciously convenient, but let's move on, because why would you want to unaliven your clients, on the side note, but whatever, let's move on with that one. And these poor kids they just need to fucking have a break. And unfortunately, that break becomes permanent, as you all know. I can't tell you how many people I know who have lost their lives because they just wanted to soften the edges. And they never awoke from that experience. That's how hard it is today to live, because it's all about grappling and surviving. There are people right now who are living and working the reality of 3 to 4 fucking jobs. They have enough time to just sleep, and they still have not enough money to save. There are no savings. They're still living paycheck to paycheck. If one job lays them off, they are so fucked, it's not even funny. We live in a very serious time now. And as a parent, if you have an extra bedroom, if you have any fucking sense at all of community, you will build a cottage. You will build something. If you have that kind of money and credit, you will actually build something, or you will gather your funds with the grandparents, the parents, the cousins, all of that, and you will buy land and you will build a homestead. If you have any sense at all, that's what you're going to do. Because no one standing on their own is surviving. There's this Italian kid. I know you know who he is. I think he's in his early 30s. And he talks about Italy and France. Italy and America. He's done very well here buying property. Probably, worked his ass off. And he said that in Italy, just so you know, the norm, and again, these are cultures that have survived thousands of years. They out fucking gun us in terms of culture, family values. They actually know what it means in action. The average adult child, will live in the home way into their 30s. Well, why is that? Well, because they can help, because it's company, because it's mentoring, because you learn from the elders, because of all of that. And we look around bereft, wondering why we don't have community. Why don't we have family values? Why adult children are literally not talking to their parents. You got all kinds of TikTok channels of, why is my kid not talking to me? Well, where the fuck were you when, they were having problems at school? Where the fuck were you when they needed help on homework? Where the fuck were you? Were you just asking them, how was school? while you picked him up in the car and nothing else, or you picked him up at the bus stop, or did you even do that? Did you ever read to them? Did you ever have Sunday dinner? Did you ever take them on long hikes and it was a weekly thing? Did you ever try to have a relationship with your kid, or was it just a burden? Were you looking for the next fix, the next deal, the next... You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. That means if you don't plant seeds of compassion, of love, generosity, and of support, you're not going to get anywhere. Anyway, I hope this helped. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well.